one who is going to disagree if we were to say, for specific functions, we must choose the best amongst ourselves to lead in government so that we can have maximum input. So people are easily divided over so-called ideological differences, which otherwise do not exist. So Mkondo says that, do you associate yourself with those who fought the wars of resistance and say, my heroes are here, it's Ngungunyane, it's Kukul, it's Chulapsu, it's everyone who fought against colonialism. If you want to associate with the struggle, come to Mkondo. If you believe that the Freedom Charter, which says the mineral wealth beneath the soil, the banks, and monopoly industries shall be transferred to the ownership of the people as a whole. If that is your belief, you are welcome in Mkondo. If your idea is Pan-Africanism, isolate, you are welcome in Mkondo. If your ideology is black consciousness, that you think that let's identify ourselves, let's assert ourselves as black people, you are welcome in Mkondo. If your idea is that political power without economic power is meaningless and therefore we must fight for economic freedom, you are welcome in Mkondo. And then there is a common agenda that is outlined as to, in the immediate, what do we seek to achieve as an organization? So the preamble is to say that let us not allow the white colonial settlers to divide, to rule over us. Because the main instrument of colonialists everywhere was to divide and rule. They do that even now. You check the Oppenheimers who own majority of South Africa's wealth. When a black political party that accounts to them is formed, they give them money so that they can control that, with the intention of defeating all the liberation forces. And ourselves, every time, even for a small difference, even for a defeat in a conference, we want to form another political party. And when we are disunited, we will never win the struggle to emancipate our people. That is why it was not a mistake when President Zuma said that foundationally, Mkondo must fight for 2/3 majority. It was not a mistake that he had said, because he understood that within this constitutional framework, to change the wrongs that were done in the past, you need a decisive majority. So that is the current call of Mkondo, that let's unite all the progressive forces to fight for our liberation, to fight for true freedom. And that is what the preamble of Mkondo Constitution does. On page 9, it's the basic thing that should introduce and establish the organization. That the name of the Constitution, the name of the party, the organization that is being established by this Constitution, is Mkondo Party, abbreviated as MKP or MK. And then the color section 2 of the organization, the colors of the MKP shall be green, black, and gold. And the dominant green color represents the land which must be reclaimed from colonial settlers and equitably redistributed to all the people and preserved as a legacy for future generations. That the black color represents commitments to liberation of black and indigenous people from colonial oppression and dispossession. The color black also represents the purposeful intention to unite all black people in a struggle for total emancipation. You will realize that in the preamble, in the entirety of the Constitution, the consistent word that is used is unity, unite. It's about unity, because to say unity is our strongest weapon in the phase of the struggle that we are in now. So that even in the color representation, so the black color of Umkhonto Wesizwe, that is what we are wearing black. It's a representation of the unity of black people to fight for total emancipation in terms of what is required. And then the color gold represents MK's commitment to reclaim and locally beneficiate all our natural resources and other economic assets. The logo of the MKP shall be a gold circle colored in green and a warrior inside the circle holding a gold spear in the middle with the inscription MK. The spear in the middle represents the continued struggle for total freedom and emancipation. That no MKP regalia and paraphernalia shall be printed and reproduced in any other color other than colors of the MKP. And of course, comrades who appreciate that, there are comrades who are wearing regalia which have got a logo which does not have the gold circle. So the Constitution has now already described I don't want to give an example of who is wearing I don't want to give an example of those who are the logo of Umkhonto Wesizwe party must necessarily have the gold circle around it. And then of course some mistakes like could have been made. But now we know that all of us should it looks like so that is the description of the organization. What that means is that even if purple is your favorite color, you can't print a purple t-shirt and put the logo of the organization. Even if red is your favorite color, you say, no, I think let me just put some bit of red. It's not in line with the identity of the organization. We have to protect and value the essence of our organization at all times. And then on page 10, section 3 of the Constitution is the aims and objectives of the organization Umkhonto Wesizwe Party. Objective number 1 is to unite all the we did say earlier that everything is the unification of the liberation forces. To unite all the anti-colonial, anti-imperialist and anti-racist progressive forces in South Africa to fight for total political, economic, social, spatial, cultural, and knowledge or ideological freedom and emancipation. And comrades, you must not be intimidated by when it says anti-imperialist. It's not a very difficult thing to explain. So when you are under imperialist control, it's when you think as a country you have got total political power. But every time you want to take decisions, another country tells you that you can't take such decisions. Or another country or another institution, like the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund says, you can't take such a decision because we're going to punish you. So what Umkhonto Wesizwe Party is against is the invasion of our sovereignty by the West, by America, by Britain, by Europe, by all these institutions that they have created, which undermine the sovereignty of our country. President Zuma will give you countless examples that when he was head of state and president of South Africa, there were so many intimidations coming from the West that don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. They even go to the extent of wanting to dictate who you must appoint into cabinet, which policies you must pass. So this is what Umkhonto Wesizwe is against. When we say we're anti-imperialist, it means we are anti-colonialism of a special type, which is being brought through